Spot the Music. I'm Leah and I'm back with Tanya, Ethan, Connor, Yeston, Molly, Erin and Liv. Our guest today is Tudor Marshman, Director of Music at Theatre Clwyd Music, and Emily Rowell, the Operations and Business Development Manager. We're so excited for you to join us and share your experiences of working in community music. As you know, we're studying music in the community and we're keen to find out what types of community events and activities are in our area, and also more about the practicalities and motivation to run these activities. Alid, you're currently Director of Music at Theatre Clwyd. Can you tell us more about your role and what music service offers?
Well, I suppose it starts with, we look after a team of 38 musicians and they're deployed around schools and other sort of settings, and they deliver a wide variety of musical experiences and tuition to young people between 6 and 99. So I think you're always a young person. The older I get, the easier I think it is to be a young person. And trying to ensure that we celebrate music the right way. So even when we're learning music, there's a very old-fashioned approach of the master passing on to the subject, and it's very passive and it's very not very fruitful and a not particularly good experience for the learner. And so we want to share by osmosis, I suppose, through inspiration and doing much more rather than talking.
It seems the music service offers a wide range of musical experiences. Emily, can you tell us a bit more about your role within the services?
Yeah, absolutely. So in my role, I guess it's everything besides the teaching. Alice mentioned it's a really large team, there's lots of people to communicate with. So my role is firstly making sure everything runs smoothly, so communicating with those 30-something teachers that there are, but also the schools all around Flintshire, all the heads of music, speaking to parents, and then speaking to the rest of the wider Theatre Clwyd team to make sure everything runs smoothly with room bookings and everything else, everything everyone needs to know. And then, so that's the operation side of it. And then the business development side of it is getting to think creatively about what we can do to make it bigger and better and more. What other ensembles can we have? What other things can we be running? What things can we be doing in the community? Where can we focus our efforts? Yeah.
Making access available for all, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not making financial wealth being the only reason why you can do music. That's the big thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
is our biggest challenge.
Yeah. So this is a question for both of you, actually. So do you think it's important that young people are offered the opportunity to learn music, and what motivates you to do this job?
Go on, Emily.
Take it away. Take on.
To me, it's massively important. William James, the philosopher, said, I don't sing because I'm happy because I sing. And I think that as a starting point of why music is important is not a bad place to start. Music was my first love, and it will be it courses through me. I can't imagine a day, an hour, a second, a moment without something, a musical doodle in my head without something. And when I'm happy, I play music, and when I'm angry, I play music, and when I'm sad, I play music, and it soothes. It's also just a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I just think it's wildly important, and I think we can often there's so many explanations as to why music is important in terms of it helps with loads of other subjects and like developing so many other skills, teamwork skills, and your phonological process, all sorts of amazing things which are really valid in themselves that make music very important and a great supplement to other subjects. But it's also just so wonderful in itself. Just pure enjoyment. I don't think we have to caveat it with anything else. The fact that it gives so much joy to so many people through playing, through listening, through anything, through teaching, all of those are equally valid. If you get enjoyment through that, I mean, what more can you ask for, I think? Yeah.
We've been really lucky to have been offered the opportunity to learn an instrument with the music service. In year 7, we all learned an instrument, all 145 of us. I learned the drums, but I'm not sure if I would have realised how rewarding playing music was if it hadn't been for that opportunity. What sort of activities do you offer that encourages young people to try out and experience making music?
I'll try and answer it in two parts. Firstly, just the opportunities that were provided for you here in Flint High School during that time were utterly amazing. And I was so impressed with Fran's plans when she showed them to me. It was perfect for you guys. What was the second bit that you hit again, Yestin?
About how we wouldn't have been sure how rewarding it would be playing music.
Yeah, and this is why it's so important that everybody has access. And as mentioned earlier about the financial impact, lots of people are fortunate enough to have access to anything because of their financial background. If you don't, why should you have a poorer life? Why should your life not have as many experiences? And I think, as we were saying earlier, Yestin, you started on the drums, and that made you understand that you really liked music. But you've now gone on to work on the bass guitar, and that's where you've found your thing. And part of open access means that we can do something. Oh, actually, that wasn't for me. But I know I love music, therefore I'm going to find out what I can do. We're fortunate in Wales. They've just announced a national plan for music education in Wales, and there will be, as part of their first experiences plan, every child in Flintshire in year 3 for the next 3, hopefully 4 years, will get free instrumental lessons for 2 terms, which is exactly that. We don't expect every one of those young people to continue or to think it's the best thing in sliced bread, but we want them all to have a brilliant time, and we want them all to go, actually, I love music, or whatever, I have a response to music, and if I do love it, I now know what I want to do.
The music service sounds like it employs a number of staff. How does the business side of it work? Is music tuition supported by grant or government funding?
Well, it's supported by government funding, as stated recently. Schools also contribute towards the cost of lessons. But when I was a young man, which is a long time ago, everything was free. Everything was free.
Sounds nice.
And we have to work towards that. And that's part of the advantage of being within Theatr Clwyd. There is a giving team that might have been called, I'm trying to think what it might have been called, but basically they're to encourage foundations and charities to support our work so that we can reduce barriers to everybody. That, alongside the government funding, means we hope that the young people of Flintshire will revert to the times and the fortune that I had when I was a young man. Boy, thing, whatever.
I'm interested to know what led you to this role. What inspired you to pursue a career in music? Sorry.
So for me, I started music when I was 5, I think it was, on the piano. Then I switched instruments maybe when I was like 11 or so to the harp, and just had some really, really awesome musical experiences, getting to play with groups, through bursaries and all sorts, getting to, I've got to go, on a tour of Holland with a bunch of musicians and play in these really cool places. So that was enough to give me momentum to just want to continue that. So I went on to study music for a degree. And then whilst I was doing that degree, that's how I got into music. And then how I got into the managing music side of things is when I was doing that degree, I got involved just volunteering, helping manage an orchestra that wasn't an orchestra really. It was like a hybrid thing. It was like 45 musicians. Yes, there were strings and brass that you'd usually see in an orchestra, but then we also got a drum kit, electric guitars, all sorts in there. Everyone mic'd up and doing dance hits, Ibiza, pop stuff. We did game music, all sorts, and just made a massive gig out of it. And we had amazing tech support. We had lights, everything. So there's 300, 400 people up there dancing to that. And I kind of thought I could spend lots of time practicing on my own to make a room of 50 happy, and it takes a lot of work, and that's totally worthwhile for people that can do that. And I was like, for me, I loved the process of managing it and setting things up. And so I was like, if I can do that and I enjoy that and I can make 500 people happy in that time and see everyone up there dancing, I want to do that. So that's what set me off on the whole managing music side of things. Yeah.
Yeah, I started as a 7-year-old playing the violin. My mother also played the violin and my father's a musician also. And I said I wanted to start to play the violin, and they said, fine, but you're not giving up. I said, why would I want to give up? 2 weeks later, I'm giving up the violin. There's no way I'm continuing with this. And my father, true to his word as he's always been, didn't allow me to give up. And I hated it for about 4 years. And at 11, I started playing with an orchestra, playing with other people. I wasn't the same age as most of them. Most of them are much older than me. But that moment when I sat in the orchestra for the first time and heard the collective sound all around me, and it's still, it's so, that sound is still really in my head 40 years later. It's so clearly in my head, that sort of excitement, and then I just fell in love with music, and the friends I made through it. I'm still friendly with most of those people I met when I was 11, and have had the privilege, a little bit like Emily, of playing in some amazing places with some amazing people. Did a music degree, and then thought, what on earth am I going to do? I don't want to teach because Mum and Dad taught, but I've got no skills. I have no skills other than playing the violin and viola, and I'm not very good at that. So I am that person who then went, I better do some teaching. I need to pay the bills. I need to have a life. And so I did that, and I'm approaching my 30th year of teaching with the team. And it's things that you learn. Teaching is a little bit about what I was saying earlier, is we should both learn, or everybody needs to learn in every situation. Just because I have the label of teacher doesn't mean it's only my knowledge that was imparted. And I remember not so long ago, I think in orchestras, especially with violinists, we're quite geeky as a rule, that we don't often, I'm obviously the one that breaks the rule, we don't often know how to talk. We don't often know how to express ourselves.
You can talk.
It's covering my shyness, I promise. But I remember talking to somebody, and we talk about words, we talk about emotions, and all those things that are important in creating music. And I remember pontificating about a particular word, and I was saying, this is clearly what it's to do. Mediocre. It obviously means medium of the, that's what it means. It's the middle of the spectrum. And in fact, this pupil was from Flint, and she said, I don't think you're right. I think it's to do with the mountains in France. I think it's a French thing. And that, to me, it's completely not musical. But when I first met that girl at 7, she wouldn't say anything to me. To have the confidence in an open forum to say, not only contribute to the conversation, but also say, you're wrong, which she did very nicely, but without saying it. That to me is about an holistic education. It's not just about teaching somebody to play the violin, or teaching somebody to play the bass guitar, or teaching somebody to play the drums, teaching somebody to sing. It's what we do with somebody as a person and their development, and that's through all education.
And I guess that's what you've sort of encapsulated there, what inspired you, but also what continues you to inspire you.
Yeah,
in
I love. It's an
yeah.
awful thing to say. Well, I don't think it's an awful thing to say, but it's sometimes misinterpreted. I love being with kids.
Okay, so we've heard that, Emily, you've worked for the Benedetti String Foundation. Can you tell us more about the role?
100%. This is a favourite topic of mine because they are doing awesome work. So I got involved with the Benedetti Foundation whilst I was on a placement during a arts management master's course I did at Rowell College of Music and Drama. And I was with them right from the very start when they started up. I don't know for context, they're basically this fairly new charity led by this awesome violinist and an amazing team of teachers that deliver these huge, like several hundred people person workshops. They just drop into a city, do massive workshops, and then disappear again, but leaving a massive imprint where they go. And anyway, as part of the placement, I did some development work, which is sort of working on all the fundraising side of things and inviting donors that might want to come and support the foundation. I also worked on the operations side of it, just the practicalities and the administration of things. You down to like ordering t-shirts for the team and things like that, just making it help make it run. And then I was also helping on the ground on the days. So the first ever one in Glasgow was amazing, and speaking to the venues team, speaking to the new team of 30 freelancers we had there, and the orchestra and everyone, just making it run smoothly. So it was really, really fab, and they're doing some awesome work. But I think even in what I did in that placement shows the variety of roles that there are within, even if you don't go into performing music, the variety of things you could do in development, in the producing side of it, in the operations, in the administration. You know, there's tons out there. It was a really good time.
So, final question from us. If finances were no barrier, what would your vision be for music in Flintshire?
That's a big question.
That's huge.
I've already alluded to it. It has to. Everything should be free. We should be able to do an experience and value it. Just because it's free doesn't mean it's not valuable. That's sometimes what happens, is when something arrives for free, we don't value it as much as we should. And that needs to come from the teacher, not in you must value this, it's really important you value this. It's in how we act, in how we show how much we care about your development, how much we care about, but not in a, you've not practiced, you need to practice more because this matters. It should be about us inspiring, and that's why it's important. So free.
To me as well, maybe I don't know if it's a financial barriers thing, but if I'm just thinking vision for music in Flintshire, if there was no barriers at all, yes, my head goes, I suppose my role being everything but the teaching. I think the teaching, yes, but then I want like open mic nights in like every pub, and you know, just concerts everywhere. Everyone can be playing. I get excited about this. Just everything everywhere. That comes from, I think the access to tuition, so everyone can get involved and have some way of playing part in that. But even the people that aren't having lessons, that they have somewhere they can go and listen to music and be involved with it. That's what I'd love.
There are quite a lot of open mic nights.
Oh, there are tons. I've been doing my research.
And there's quite a lot are run by former students of our music,
super cool.
which is always good. And every now and again, I will go and visit one. And I am a little bit out of place.
It's my home.
Well, thank you. Thank you for talking to us. We've learned a lot, I think we can all agree, about music experiences in our community. So this has been What the Music, and we'll see you next time, where we'll be interviewing Jenny Pearson about her work with the Arts Council for Wales.
Thank you.